The AI is pretty amazing though, I must say. I really must say. If you know me at all, you know that editing photos is not really my most favorite part of the whole pet photography and photography process. But Lightroom and Photoshop have changed and added some cool things that I've been just enjoying, crazily enough, and I really want to share with you. Monique here of Silver Paw Studio and founder of ProPetPhotog. And as promised in the last video that you can see here of the 1980s music themed photo session we did, I said we would edit some of the photos in this video. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to take these images and edit them within Lightroom and Photoshop to become these images. And I've just got some really easy ways to do that. And I want to show you some of the cool new features in Lightroom and Photoshop that you can use right now. Caveat, the Lightroom is the newest version of Lightroom and Photoshop is the Photoshop beta version. Yes, so you'll want to make sure that if you want to follow along with this, that you can get the Photoshop beta version. It's easy to get in your Adobe suite. Okay, here we are in Lightroom, and these are the 3 photos that we are going to work on today using the new tools. How exciting is this? All right, so let's first start off with, let's take that away. Let's start with this one. What I want to show you really quickly here in Lightroom is the masking tool, which I'm having so much fun with. Let's see, let's reset this whole image though. Okay, here's the original. We're gonna select subject. This is the cool thing. This selection tool, you can select the subject, you can select the background, you could select the sky, oh my gosh. And so we're actually going to add with the brush, let's zoom in here. Oops, come on. Sorry, we're moving this down. We want some of this tail back, right? Let's add some tail in here. So the puppy's tail, and we want to subtract this. What we're going to do is we will take out this leash anyway in Lightroom, but let's go back out. All right, here we go. This is cool. So you can see the red area. This area is where we've masked, and then we can go over here and click on the mask again, and we can just change the exposure of the dog. So I can bring up the shadows and bring down the highlights. I can change the contrast a little bit or deepen the blacks. It's super, super cool. Oh, I just love that in this new version of Lightroom. So, so cool. From here though, obviously there's a ton of stuff going on. What I want to do is crop this. I could take this all into Photoshop and change it, but let's just do a basic crop in here. Kind of crop out just enough where Lightroom's not gonna have to work too hard. I could take that in and show you that too. But let's just give Photoshop a little bit easier time with that. All right, now we're going to right click and edit in Adobe Photoshop. And in Photoshop, we're going to take out the leash and we're going to fill in that side of the studio that doesn't have anything. All right, so I'm going to, just because I don't want to freak you all out, let's duplicate the layer here. Okay, so here's the 2 things I want to show you for sure in Lightroom, Photoshop, the beta version. We're going to zoom in on the leash, and I'm going to take it over to the healing tool, but we're going to go to the remove tool. That's the bandage with the little sparkly stars. And we're going to use the close bracket to make this smaller. And this works so well on easy subjects like this. It does take just a little bit more computing power, so give your computer a break. but it's not gonna typically do the weird stuff we've been getting with the other tools in here. See, that's perfect. So sometimes in like the spot or the healing, it's weird. I can't even explain it. So let's go back out. Now I bet that we could take this brush and make it really big and fill this in and it would do a great job. But just for funsies, let's take this polygon lasso. We're gonna just select all of this area here. Make sure we've got an okay feather so it blends well. And then we're gonna do generative fill. You don't have to put anything in the box down here. You can put a little, if you're having trouble, it says we can't generate that, put a little period in there and then say generate, and it'll work. So we're gonna generate this. What's really cool is it's gonna give us 3 different options and it's gonna be on a separate layer. It does take a moment. All right, oh my gosh. I think that looks excellent. It has, this one's a little bit lighter. Let's see what the other ones are. Okay. The difference is very, very subtle. But I think I'm gonna go with just that first one. So for me, I'm going to merge this down if I wanted to keep it. But let's pretend we didn't do that and let's go back to this layer. We can turn that one off. Let's see what would have happened with this brush. This is gonna make this particular tool work kind of hard. So we'll see what happens. Okay, well, that did a really, really good job. So either one of those tools could work awesome in this situation. There's the delete tool and here's the generative fill tool. So really, really cool. So at this point, I can just save this. We'll Control S to save it. It'll go right back over to Lightroom. Control W, we'll close it. So let's go over to Lightroom. There it is, yay! There's the before, after, pretty simple. This one is definitely more of a challenge. Let's take this over to Photoshop, edit in, Photoshop. I'm going to duplicate this background. Now let's just start off with generative fill just to see what it does over here. I don't want it to affect the boombox. And generative fill and generate. Let's see how it does with this kind of setup. Hey, that's not too bad. Okay. I don't know why it's putting something yellow over there and some flowers. I don't know. But let's go with this one just for funsies right now. And I am going to merge down because I don't want my poor computer to have to process too much of this. So we're going to do the same up here. Let's just say we're going to take right there. Let's see if it'll generative fill this. This might be a little bit more difficult for this tool. We'll see. The AI is pretty amazing though, I must say. I really must say. Hey, okay, that's not too bad. What are other options? Okay, thinks we need something up there. Okay, I don't know what the world that is, but we're gonna go with this one. Oh, generative fill, you are so silly. So this is just really rough. So that's how I would start all of these, is just a really rough edit to begin with and then go in and fine tune. You can fine tune with a lot of different ways. We can use that healing brush again, we could paint, we could clone stamp. There's a few ways we can do the fine tuning on this. What I don't want is for the general feel. Is that a sink? Oh my gosh. Okay, this is hysterical. The general feel of the texture of the backdrop to go away. Okay, that's odd, but we're gonna go with that one for now. Sometimes it just takes a couple of chances for it to do its whole thing here. So let's actually select it with this selection tool so we can kind of go around the dog's mitts there. Now, let's generative fill. I really think that looks like a sink. I'm not sure what's happened there. And Photoshop's always been like this. Sometimes you do it once, you do it another time, you do it another time, and finally, then it's good. So you will notice that. All right, that is more what we're talking about here. We got that one, we got this one, we got this one. Obviously, this one's the best. So we're going to merge down. That already is looking massive amounts better. If we can control O, we can go out and see here's the before, here's after, with just a tiny bit of work. So from here, Z. We're just gonna take this tool again and make it a little bit smaller with our open bracket. Just paint this in here. And that should be perfect. Yep, that is perfect. Aha! All right. Let's clean up this space a little bit. A little blotchy, a little funky. Now be careful with this tool because sometimes it'll take away or remove texture in a weird way. And you'll especially notice this outside, or if you had maybe a little bit higher ISO, be really careful it doesn't do some weird stuff with grain. All right. Which means zooming in and double checking. And there's a little bit of funkiness here, which we'll be able to take away, no problemo. And then of course we just want to work on this funky pole it thinks needs to be in here, and do these small amounts at a time. And this is all generations of Photoshop I've done this. Small amounts at a time. If I were to do this big long pole all at once with this little sweeping tool, it just wouldn't work as well. See if we can go around her nose here a little bit. And it's shockingly good. There's clearly some detail work we need to do in here, which we'll work on. But it really is giving us a much, much better rough starting point. Now, I grab some of her ear. Let's see what it does. Yeah, that took up a little too much of her little ear there. But it will do its best to preserve the fur, which is really nice. Okay, so we can keep going with this, which we'll do here really quickly. One thing I would probably do is, because we don't have that string anymore, look, we still have a disco ball. Let's get rid of the disco ball. All right, that is much better. If we go out, now you can see some of the other splotchiness we just need to work on. So if I did the clone stamp, I just pressed S. We're just gonna work on this a little bit. And you can do some just general cleanup. I would pull the opacity down maybe and just start working in general on this image just to straighten out some of this weird inconsistency here in the lighting. So the dog jumped up funny, you know, people were in the way. So there's a few things going on here, but I want to show you one of the ways that we can work on the rest of this. Obviously this looks a ton better, and we can do all kinds of detail work from here. Ta-da, ta-da. All right. So let's just save that, because what I really want to show you is the next image too. We can combine what we've done with this, and the next step would be what we're going to do with this kitten. You'll see. It'll make sense in just a moment. And this last image I wanted to show you, the problem with this one is all these splotches. Ugh. I was not paying attention to how far the disco ball was. If it had been up against the background, I wouldn't have gotten these. That's from the light on it. So the light, the shadows from the light, this is the shadow of the disco ball actually. So let's give Photoshop a little less to do there, and we're going to edit in Photoshop. So this method is actually kind of interesting. So I'm going to duplicate that layer again. Since I'm showing you, we're going to go back over here to the quick selection tool, and we're going to say select subject. Okay, so what's really awesome is it selected the kitten and the disco ball, okay? So from there, we are going to right click, select inverse, Then we're going to take the eyedropper and we're going to choose a pink. So I'm going to do this darker one. And then we're going to go to the paintbrush. And I'm going to put this back up to 100% opacity and make the paintbrush really big, because I just want to sweep on through here. We're just going to paint. There we go. Now you can see that's darker. So actually I'm going to do this. I'm going to choose just a little bit lighter color. And we're going to do that again. Paintbrush it all in here. Okay. One a little bit lighter here. There we go. We want just a little bit of a horizon line right there. Okay. And what we can do from there is, if we want to bring down the opacity of the whole layer to just make it a little more interesting, there we go. And from there we can Control D and deselect, and that looks just massive amounts better. I don't have all these splotches. It looks like just the paper backdrop. I can play around with the opacity here as much as I want. I'm still gonna clean up. I'm gonna zoom here, clean up some of this stuff here with just this button, right? Take that away. That's where the roller skate was taped down, if you remember that. So pretty easy to do, to just delete that out of there. All right, Control O, and we can see the whole kitten again. There we go. That looks pretty good. So we're gonna save this. Actually, let's zoom in. Let's click on Z for zoom, kind of look around the kitten. For the most part, this looks amazing. Now, if I wanted to put a mask on here and do some more detail work, I could. But I think this looks pretty darn good myself. I think though, if I look at this smaller, I can see those blotches, those shadows a little too much. So let me bring up the opacity to 70. All right, okay, now I'm just getting nitpicky. Okay, let's save this. That's saving. Woohoo! Alrighty, there we have it. So let's see all of them. There we go. So you can see, I don't know why it's making that bigger, the befores and after of each one of those. In just a few minutes, we were able to do all that. Obviously, there's a little bit more detail work to do, I know, but I really wanted to just show you a quick overview of the new tools that I am absolutely loving in Photoshop and Lightroom. All right, so there you have it. There are the things that I am just loving right now in Photoshop in Lightroom. Hope you get a chance to use some of these tools yourself. Be sure to remember to go back and watch this video on us picking all the props and actually photographing all these cute puppies and kittens at the studio. And we'll see you in the next one. As always, I wish you many woofs, purrs, and TREATSs.